Hi everyone, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Goodness, the energies have lifted a little bit, but I know the eclipse is coming, so it's gonna go again. But the energies have lifted. It's been like 2 days and a half that there's like a bit of breathing space, there's a bit of joy that's showing itself, there's like a shift in energies that is happening, even though the world is in mayhem, but there's like an internal shift of it's a little bit more peaceful inside. So the reason the title is You Are Not Alone is simply because a lot of times I feel things, I go through things. A lot of my shadow, my limiting beliefs find themselves again surfacing up, and I'm like, what? And then I make sure to send to all my friends, it being extremely vulnerable, sharing very clearly what I'm going through internally to give them the freedom to express themselves and share whether they feel the same way or not, to not feel alone. And one of the main reasons I started these lives on Facebook is to share truth and vulnerability of what I may be going through, I may be experiencing, the collective around me, whatever it is, the shadows and limiting beliefs that I may be experiencing, going through, my friends, whoever, my clients, and to share honestly with everybody so that nobody feels alone. So you don't feel alone in your pain. Because what happens is when we are going through pain, our own internal pain, we think it's only us alone. And the minute it starts to feel like we're going through it on our own and nobody else, everyone else is feeling better and happier, and that's just the perception due to social media. And, usually when you bump into people, you ask, how's your day? They'll be like, great, or fine, or they'll, whatever. But the truth of everybody's secret inside, when we don't express it and share it vulnerably with our surrounding environment, we think we're alone in our pain. I'm the only one suffering the fears, the lacks, the depressions, the sadness, the hopelessness, the despair, the whatever it is that you're going through. And I'm here just to make sure that you don't feel alone and that you are not alone in how you feel. And lucky for you, I feel a lot. So even if some of you may not be going through anything as intensely and severely, I know a lot of you are. And I am here to share what it feels like. So I'm just expressing that in the last 2 days, the energies have uplifted a little. I'm not really sure why. I think it's something to do with the planetary system, and it's something also to do with releasing my own personal, internal, whatever it is that needed to be released. And I remember a few days ago, I allowed myself to cry, and wail and cry and rage and say all the things that are not allowed to be said to me and myself and I, to be really mad at Source, to be really mad at the children that are dying, at the pain of the world, at the pain of my own life, at whatever it is, even though like it had nothing to do with the external world, my internal world was in agony. And what I discovered is a lot of people were feeling the same way. Yet a lot of them couldn't share it because it's just so painful. And what we're used to doing is running away from it, occupying ourselves not to feel what we feel. And of course, I gave myself permission to feel and to scream and to yell and to even journal all the things, all the rage and frustration and anger I have inside. Sorry, I'm a little energetically, like, I think I have a bit of the flu, but I know this is all like my body's shifting with the things I've purged. So you're going to find yourself feeling all those feelings inside, like you're trying to grab onto people and outings and things, and then you're not really in the mood. You don't want to do them, but being alone feels even worse, and you're really, really like confused. Give yourself permission, if you choose to be alone with those feelings. It feels like hell. Okay, I'm not saying it's a walk in the park. And yet, once it is released and past you, the relief and the freedom you feel, because you're not running away from you anymore. You're being kind to you in a sense. So as I was going through this a week ago, it was a buildup, right? A buildup of the energies. I'm seeing what's happening in Palestine, and and I'm like being forced to see it. I don't know, it's coming, popping out of me everywhere because I do not watch the news because I get affected so much. Even when I don't watch the news, I sense something is off in the collective. And by chance, I'll bump into somebody and they'll give me the update, but I won't have to observe it. It doesn't have to be part of my reality. And then I do prayers and I try to see what I can do. In general, if you're feeling a tightness, if you were feeling, maybe you're not today, if you were feeling a bit of a tightness in the heart, a bit of confusion, fear of lack, right? Like, oh, the finance, oh, the this, oh, the that, oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know who I am. That's okay. Just know you're not alone in those feelings. It is a very strange time we're living in. We're awakening. We're waking up to our truth. We're waking up to like, wait, what about, how can I love Source differently from the program I've been taught that Source is scary or God is scary or punishing? Like, I'm learning how to love God differently. You're also in a process of like, you're starting to find who you are and your identity outside of who you thought you were and who you were living up to become and all that stuff. You may be losing friends and gaining different and new friends. You may be losing family members. You may be losing parts of yourself, your hobbies. You're like, it's a very strange space we're in as we start to discover the truth of life, that there is an ego, that there are thoughts taking over, that we're like consumed with something else and we're trying to break free of it because it feels so much lighter, nicer, freer when we love ourselves, when we are in compassion with ourselves, when we feel united with Source, when we feel connected with the creator of all and our divinity. It's a different feeling. It's like everything looks better. Life feels better and looks better. Yet when we are in our dark space, where no matter what we do, and I know what that feels like, no matter what you do, you cannot pop yourself out of the gunk. You're like looking and you're like, there's nothing wrong with what I'm perceiving my life to be. When I look, the sky is still blue, the trees are still here, the people I love are still around. There's nothing to say, well, that's the problem, right? But your thoughts are making problems and you're feeling the feelings. This is simply because we need to purge those energies inside that have kept us in a specific program, your personal program and perceptions of life. They need to come out, right? And we resist it. And through the resistance, you can see, you can tell, oh my God, I've never faced up to this, or I faced up to it so many times, and there's more of it that needs to come through. There's more of it that I need to be with. And this doesn't mean lock yourself up at home for days on end. Just give yourself an hour or two to really be with yourself. And also notice how mean you might be to yourself, because sometimes, honestly, we are so unaware because it's so part of how we think that you think, oh, of course I love myself. I think I look pretty. I do this, I do that. And that's like the consciousness. But the subconscious is when you're feeling bad, your language is, oh my God, you're so ungrateful. Look at what you have. You have everything so beautiful, and yet you're still feeling sad. You're still depressed. Or, oh my God, what if everything goes away and you're going to be poor in the future and lack? Or, oh my God, what if the people I love die and I'll be all alone and miserable? Or what if I'll never find that partner in my life? It's like you're brewing problems, you're living them, and you're feeling the pain. Feel the pain, let it go. Notice the language, notice what you're telling yourself, right? And then love yourself. That is the hardest thing to do when you're in the midst of that. And I recognized and I saw that I was doing the Ho'oponopono while in my rage. Automatically, I was like, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. I thank you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. I thank you. And as I said before, I will speak a little bit about Ho'oponopono. It is a method of speaking or meditating, but you can do it while you're meditating. You can also do it and give it a practice of how you're speaking. You don't have to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you. You can also simply say, I love you, I thank you, I love you, I thank you. Why? As you have that mantra on your tongue day and night, something you're repeating, the thoughts, the negative thoughts, the egoic thoughts, the thoughts that are actually, if you want to use religion as a backup, is like the devil's whispers. If you want to use energy, they're just the program of the pocket of demise. If you want to use, any kind of analogy, it's the ego, the earthling version of you that's constantly in a state of survival and depression and sadness and worry about the future and panic. That's you. Or the ancestral DNA that's in us with all the trauma fears inside. Many different angles, they all come down to the same thing. Our thoughts don't tell us the nicest things unless we train it to. So if we say to ourselves, I love you, I thank you, I love you, I thank you, and not egoically think, who am I saying I love you to? It could be to the divinity, to the divine, the creator of all. It could be to your inner child. It could be to you, right? It could be to life force energy, whatever it is. I love you, I thank you, I love you, I thank you. I would suggest that to start that, it's to you, to your inner child, right? I love you, I thank you. Even you can even say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I'm sorry for not paying ever attention to you and telling you such bad shit all day long inside myself. And please forgive me for, again, not being consciously aware how much I keep humiliating you, disrespecting you, treating you less than, and making everyone else more important, right? You could do it that way. But it isn't in a guilt way. Don't guilt yourself for it. You're just, it's like you would talk to a small child. A small child would, and you might have a tantrum on them yourself, and then you're like, oh, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I was unconscious. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Right? God, I was out of it. And then thank you. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for releasing me from this. Thank you because forgiveness comes in a blink of an eye. In the human world, it's like, I won't forgive you. But in energy and realms and divinity and your inner child, they're like, yeah, sure. Thank you for recognizing. Thank you for apologizing. Thank you for noticing. Yes. And then you say, thank you. And I love you. And I love you for bringing my attention to the way I speak to you, my inner self, in such an ugly way. Thank you for bringing that attention to me. Thank you for making me aware of it. And thank you for loving me enough to release it. So you're thanking, the end result is it's been released. I've been freed from it. I've forgiven me. I've forgiven others. I've forgiven whatever, right? You don't even have to logically know it. Your mind will try to be logical. Like, really? You've done nothing wrong to forgive anyone. That's not the point. So when we use a mantra in the background, like a lot of times I would use, I am loved, I am lovable, I am loving, I am loved, I am lovable, I am loving, instead of, what's wrong with you? You should have said that. Oh my God, you haven't made enough money. You need to make money. Oh, nobody really cares about you. Where's that partner you're supposed to be with? It's like this endless abuser, right? When you say that, what happens, it kind of starts to override, because we always have background noise. There's always background sound. That's why we meditate, to see the background sound. What is it saying? Oh, I'm now conscious of what my background subconscious mind is saying, and I can breathe away from it, right? That's where meditation is helpful. It's not to totally be in stillness, but to figure out that. But in your waking world, as you participate in life and you're going and you're seeing friends and you're just constantly saying, I love you, I thank you, I love you, I thank you, I love you, I thank you. The voice that is being shitty and putting you down, and blaming you and saying how you've done things wrong, who you should be, why you shouldn't be this way, like all this stuff. The background noise will have to mute, because you're consciously forcing a new dialogue, right? That kind of starts to delete the old one, right? So when you notice the old one starting and you're starting to believe it and live in that and starting to make projected future possibilities of how unlovable and undeserving and all this stuff, the real subconscious is coming out. Once you notice it and you're feeling the gunk, because once we think it, we start to feel tight and contracted and aggravated and whatever, slowly start to say, I love you, I thank you, I love you, I thank you, I love you, I thank you. I love you, inner child, for bringing this to the surface, and thank you. I love you, me, the all of me, for, I love you even if you're feeling this way. Even if you're believing the thoughts, I still love you. You're allowed to think this way. You're allowed to feel this way. I still love you. And I thank you for being there. And I thank you for showing me this. You can be talking to source, to God, to divinity. I love you. I thank you. I love you so much for letting me see the dialogue internally, for letting me feel the truth of my pain, for giving me awareness. I love you. And thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for loving me enough, right? To let me see my internal dialogue. That's the gist of it. So you're not alone in your pain. Really, really, so many people in the world, no matter where they're at, if they're trillionaires or it doesn't even matter what their material construct is at this moment in time, the internal world for most of the people who are on the spiritual path, who are wanting to discover who they are, who are sick and tired of their old identity, are waking up, and we've been waking up for a very long period of time. We are all going through this because there's a lot inside. We hold the codes of the ancestors in our body, the good and the bad, right? And we're purging that which is trapped from our lineage internally from us. So, for example, you could be afraid of poverty, being really, really poor, but you're not poor and you have never been. And yet there's this fear that you don't even understand. First, it's a collective fear. Second, it's definitely ancestral, right? Definitely. And third, it's what you've heard and seen in the movies and been programmed, right, into. Thinking that you need to suffer before you get enlightened, right? So if you have that, then just notice it, let it come. Be with that pain, write it down. Be like, I'm so terrified of being poor, of being on the streets, of being alone, whatever. Just write it, and it's going to be terrifying to write it because you have the belief that whatever you share or express is going to manifest into reality, right? But what really manifests is our subconscious, right? And these inner beliefs. And these are the ones you want to tap in and release and open up. So if you write it consciously down and you cry it out and you feel the pain of it, whatever ancestral energy is in there, just think of it as pockets of energy, right? Is going to bubble up because that's the pain of what they felt. Maybe in your history, in your family's lineage, mom and father, whichever one or both, they've gone through the war. They lost everything. Like I know in my ancestral, my father is from Palestine. So in my ancestral DNA, they lost everything from being really rich, lands and homes and factories, everything was gone. So when that fear shows up for me, since it's not mine, but it feels so much like it's a reality, I know it's ancestral and I allow it to be released. I feel the pain of that suffering that they had suffered, which is a fear. So just know that a lot of times what you're feeling may not be specifically yours from your timeline. But don't forget these bodies, right, is from Mama Earth. It's got all the collective in it stored, right? Memories. So we come here with things, knowings. We see how our parents talk from a young age. In the womb, we're receiving through the cord our DNA structure, right? There's a lot happening that we're unaware of. And it's not that we have to be aware of it now, but we can still be aware that we're not alone in how we feel, because every human being on the planet has fears that we are trying to resolve and conquer and release. Why? Why? Why do we want to do that? Because as I release myself, as I allow myself to love myself through it, to be loving to myself, I'm changing my codes. I'm changing my perception. I'm allowing a new coding to take place within this body. So when I leave the body, my soul leaves the body and the body goes back to the earth, there's a new code in there. The second reason why is because it relieves you from the pain of trying to hide all these pains for years, trying to like sugarcoat them, running around doing a million other things so you don't feel those feelings, hoping they go away, but they always pop up. Don't you feel that the same feelings always pop up, right? So fine, if they always want to keep popping up, let them pop up. It takes an hour or two, maybe an entire day, to release and give yourself permission not to run away from them. And once you do, you feel you can breathe. And I believe that's why I can breathe. I've been breathing for the last 2 days. And I remembered, I was still saying thank you, I love you, forgive me, the Ho'oponopono. But at the same time, it was hard. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say it was a piece of cake. It was hard to bring my consciousness to it. And yet I was doing Ho'oponopono for a month now internally, trying to practice it. So it was an automatic button that was being spoken as I was going through my thing, right? So we want to give ourselves a loving mantra that we use every day, every minute, whenever we remember. So when we are in the pits of hell, right, dealing with our emotions, feeling ourselves through it and loving ourselves, we have a loving mantra inside that's coming and deleting and erasing, right, and being there for us. Does it make sense? Is this helpful? So you're feeling down? That's okay. You're feeling tightness in the chest? You're feeling alone? That's okay. You're not alone. We're all going through it. You're not alone in how you feel. That's all I want to share with you. That's the biggest giveaway with this video. You are not alone in how you feel. And please, please, if you are feeling anything, share it in the comments. Share it in the comments so you can release it out of you. You can share your truth and your vulnerability outside of the darkness that it's shameful. Share it and let others read and let them share and let everyone feel, oh, okay. Now that everybody's going through it, or a lot of people are going through it, I can relax. There's nothing wrong with me specifically, because that's the problem. That's the hook. That's the biggest pain. It's only me. I'm the only one going through this on my own. Nobody else. Everyone else is happy. Everyone else is fine. Right? Everyone else gets it but me. Not true. Everyone's confused. All the gurus, spiritual, whatever, religious, everyone's still confused, right? But everyone's doing their best. And how to love yourself a little bit more is wake up in the morning and say, I love you for waking up today. That's it. That's self-love. Is being kind to yourself internally and noticing how unkind you are. And so maybe for the next week, you can write to yourself a loving letter every day. And by the end of the week, open them all and read them. I think I'm going to do that. I just got that channeled through. I think I'm going to do that for me. Right? Because I would do journaling. I would write to myself, yeah, but I never thought about writing them in letter forms, you know, and closing them all and putting them in an envelope and then reading them all at the end of the week. Why let's not all do this together? Write a little letter to yourself every morning, every evening, whenever you want, you know, and be like, dear Rain, or dear whatever, I love you today, you know? You're this and you're beautiful here and you're kind and you woke up this morning and you brushed your teeth. You're amazing, you know? Even if you're feeling so horrible and your life has been such a mess and you've gone through so much, you're still able to wake up in the morning, brush your teeth and brush your hair. You're wonderful. You were able to feed yourself today. How magical of you, right? You still have a smile on your face. You're still trying your best to make it in this world. Whatever it is, you say that to you. And you close the little letter and you put it in an envelope. And you do this for 7 days. And by the end of the week, you read them all to yourself. From you to you. Yay! Okay, I'm actually going to get up and do this now before I start real work. I love you all so much. Please know you're not alone in how you feel. Okay? This is a great purge right now. We are purging a lot and it's been happening. It's been happening. It's all coming to the surface. Even if you've worked on it before and it's still coming, that's okay. Love yourself anyway. I love you. Of course, if this was helpful, give me a thumbs up. Okay? If you love this content and you want to support me, give me a heart and leave me a comment. And of course, if you want and desire a hug, give me a hug and I'll know that you want a hug. Take care. I love hugs. Take care of yourselves. I love you all so much. And very soon, very, very soon, I'll be announcing my Awaken to Your True Self 4-week program course live online. It's going to be spectacular. Holy, I've been working on this 4 months. It's in 4-week intervals. And you're going to get to choose like the first 4 weeks. And if you want to continue in the next 4 weeks, and it's going to be delightful. So I'm looking forward to that. Look forward. I want you to look forward to seeing that post. right? And signing up and coming on board and us having fun together and exploring our true essence, releasing our pains, working together as a collective, as a beautiful group of women to work and start to trust ourselves and to release all that is within us that doesn't deserve to be there anymore or doesn't help our highest and best good anymore. So it's going to be an exciting time. I love you all. Take care. Big kiss.